care about the country because we live here. We both should care about black people getting killed in the street because we live here and we love each other. There should be no argument now.
You said something.
We in the field, we in the field, right? We in the field, we in the field. Just put it in work. We raising the bar. You tuned in to the Trackstarz.
Yeah, back in the field with the Trackstarz. Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. What's good?
All right, this segment is sponsored by Flavorfest 2018. It's going down, man. Trackstarz will be in the building. We are hosting the Trackstarz Beat Battle along with Loso, and we have another special, a couple of judges that we can announce starting next week, I think, because we got to solidify everything. But just make sure that you are out there. October 4th through the 7th is the actual Flavorfest event, but the beat battle is going on from the 5th to the 6th. And listen, this Friday is your last day to submit. If you're a producer that wants to be considered to be a part of this beat battle, this Friday is your last day to submit.
Yeah, man. And we also got a cool concert coming here to the studio. It's not a game tour. Derek Minor, Cannon, Jay Monty as well. And we're going to have Nate McGahee going to be performing as well here at the studio at Tri-Cities Church. So it's going to be awesome. September 29th. So let's start with this. So there's been a lot of talk about the Nike ad. And Colin Kaepernick got selected to be the new face of Nike in this promotion. It's actually playing back here, so I'm gonna play some of the audio and see if y'all see what y'all think. At least I thought I was.
That's actually the end of it too.
Okay, well, y'all keep going. I'll work on it.
Yeah. So, well, basically, it's interesting to see. I like the commercial, right? The commercial shows a bunch of inclusion for diversity, right? It talks about all the different athletics groups you can be a part of, the athletes that they highlight, Serena Williams, LeBron James. So you're just thinking about that Nike did a good job in marketing this.
So let's hear a little piece of it. I think I got it going. You ready?
Yeah.
Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football. Play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
So that's just a little snippet of that commercial. Didn't match up 100%. But what y'all think of Colin being a part of this?
So I think it's a great way to spearhead a movement. You know what I mean? Like we needed corporate America, right? We needed corporate America. We needed a big name in corporate America to get behind the movement of equality. And that's what this is about. You know what I mean? So I think it's good because it talks about, there's so many different messages in the commercial. I wish I really had a chance to really dissect it. But one of the messages it talks about is overcoming adversity, right? And just not being able to settle when someone tells you that you can't do something. It talks about going on despite your setbacks or your challenges, right? We talked about a bunch of people who have disabilities in the commercial, and so it just really speaks to overcoming what the norm says you shouldn't be able to do. And here's one thing I will point out, right? It's a good highlight for LeBron James in the I Promise School, right? Because this is when our president just kind of attacked him and made it seem like he was an idiot or he wasn't about anything. So I see why the opposite side is really fueling over this ad, but it doesn't make sense. Their efforts are working backwards, and as a matter of fact, Nike sales have actually soared 27% in the last week, right? So that's crazy from Sunday to Wednesday when this was announced that the sales for ads would go up instead of going down, which is what people were hoping to do.
When y'all gonna start respecting the flag?
No, but seriously though, do you understand at all people who let's assume eliminate the racists and all that kind of stuff? Do you understand at all why they are offended by this?
Oh yeah, I do. And this was what I was looking for in the commercial, and I didn't see, and I know for good reason why I didn't see it. I was looking to see if there was any military presence in the commercial at all, right? Because that would have represented the other side of this argument.
No, it wouldn't.
It would have, because you think about it. If you have military personnel that pose for this commercial, assuming that they're not in uniform and just acting.
There's been several military people that said I agree. And
I know they agree. But what I'm saying is, for their opinion to be represented as imagery.
It would not.
I don't think it would have helped. I'm just saying it would have been good to see.
I don't think so. I don't think it would have mattered.
It might not have mattered, but it would have been good to see.
I don't think seeing military in the video would have made them feel better at all about this. Isn't that what you just started out saying?
I'm saying that the other side would have been a little bit more like, it would have been something in there for them.
They would have been exactly the same. They would have been more offended.
Yeah. I don't think anything changes in this whole situation. I think as long as the president and then as long as people continue that narrative, people still gonna think that. You know what I mean? Like even like the whole going back in the day with the John McCain thing, even when he cleared President Obama, was like, nah, that's not what he about. People still thought about that even after he said, nah, that's not what he about. So I think regardless of what we say about the protest, people still gonna think it's y'all still disrespecting the flag, even though veterans are coming out or people in the armies now saying we know it's not about that, it's about what he's saying it's about. But people still have that narrative because they don't want to admit like, hey, there's a problem between police and the way they treat African Americans and people and other people of color. Is a totally different situation.
I really honestly think the real problem is that any issue, no matter how sincere you are and no matter how heartfelt your plea with the other side that this is serious, everything is attached to a greater movement. Yeah. Right? So when because I look at everybody's comments. I'm not a one-sided person. So I'll look and see what people say on this side, what say on this side. And everything, no matter which side you're on, is always attached back to some hidden motivation for why you're saying what you're saying. You either got paid by George Soros or you're a part of the establishment or you're a part of the deep state. There's always some hidden mysterious thing that everybody's associated with. So when kids are killed in a school and everybody's like, man, we got to do something about these guns. Oh, you're part of that. Instead of listening to specifically what happened here and let's figure out how to fix this, it's always assigned to some bigger purpose that some secret individuals are really working on. And we just really got to stop that, man. Like we really got to. I've been saying this and I'm even more confident now. If you are a Democrat or a Republican, I believe you are in sin. I think our associations as Christians with parties, to me, is sinful because I think it pulls us apart and it pulls us away from the purpose why we're here. We're not Democrats or Republicans, we're Christians. And Christians should move in politics in a way that's distinct from people who are just, oh, this is my side, that's your side. I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm progressive, I'm a this. Like, we should be away from all that stuff. There should be about what does Jesus want to happen in every situation. And I'm just really afraid that we're so separated now. I got brothers and sisters on this side of this issue. I got brothers and sisters on this side of this issue. And we're so far apart. And we're supposed to be family. And we're so far apart that we won't even listen to each other anymore. And it's getting bad, man. And I know people get mad at us when we talk about Trump and we talk about all this stuff. But I really believe he has positioned himself as an enemy of the cross. And I know Christians that believe he's a Christian and they believe he's doing Christian stuff. I just think you're wrong. I really think he is. I really think he is.
I'm plugging the mic.
And again, I'm not a Democrat. I have no association with either of these parties. I'm just worried, and it may not even be of his own volition. He may be a symptom of an entire problem. But I really believe, whether he knows it or not, that he is working against the purpose of Jesus's message. And I think people are getting wooed into like these Supreme Court picks and all this kind of stuff. But like, this man is, to me, is destroying every Christian's witness in the earth. And I just really feel like this has got to stop.
So
this division has got to stop.
Why do you say that? For somebody who's watching, they'll say, why do you think he's destroying the Christian?
Because now it's more about what party you belong to than imagine somebody who is, let's say they're a Democrat, and you're the staunch Republican, right? And they've seen what you said online, they've seen how you're a Democrat, and they've seen what you said, and they've seen what you supported. And then, like, let's say a strong Democrat goes into a neighborhood who's a conservative neighborhood. You have no say so with them now. You have no stock in their lives anymore because you are now a liberal, a progressive. You're over there, right? If you are somebody on the street, let's say you're a black young man, and some Republican hard-nosed person comes up to you and is like, "Oh, I want to tell you about Jesus." No. I think you really just want to use me for your agenda. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're starting to get so agenda focused that to me is ruining
like
our
that, though.
To me, this is the worst I've ever seen it in my life.
I think it's always been that way. It's just the gasoline got the fire even brighter.
That's
you know what I mean?
Wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. It is, but it's always been that way.
That's fine,
you know
but
what I mean?
it's worse now. It's worse.
Yeah.
This is like the house is on fire. Like this is no longer like opinions going back and forth and I think you should vote for this person. This is a problem. This is a legit kingdom problem.
I don't know, but like personally, this is my take. Like I look at Trump kind of like Pharaoh in a way. Like people say like he's God's man and all that, but the one good I do see is that now we know where everybody stands.
Yeah.
Where it's like every other president, people can hide behind what they really feel, but Trump literally brought stuff up from the surface to people. And my thing is, if we want change to happen, we got to figure out who everybody is and like how you really feel on situations. So what Trump did do, and all the bad he did, what he did do is that he made everybody exposed and like everyone not picking a side in a sense, but it's making people like be truthful about how they truly feel. And it's like even when like you're healing, when it comes to the Lord, like you got to be honest with the Lord about where you're at and what you're doing. So Trump is bringing like stuff up from the dirt and he's bringing it out to people.
But I think that's good that he's doing that, because at the end of the day, it's great to know that your neighbor don't like you. It's great to know that instead of your neighbor like, how you doing in a really deep Philly,
so we could build build from that standpoint of like, okay, we really don't like each other, how can we fix this? Kind of like what Kaepernick's doing. Like if he didn't do this, a lot of people are mad, but now it's creating conversation.
But I would say that I feel that what Trump is doing is the good old boy, like still have that power to be like telling people, you know what I mean? It's almost like it is white supremacy, because it's like we got to make sure we have that border, the wall, we got to make sure we have this and all that stuff is really just because you're scared that you're the dominant society, and sooner or later another race group could be the dominant society, and you're scared and you're hiding behind laws, you're hiding behind a flag, you're hiding behind other stuff that don't really matter, but you still want that power, you still have that ideology of that power, and it's not right. Like you just got to recognize, like, yo, even conservative Christians, if you see this going down or you see this, like even in your own life, you got to repent from that, because it's not Jesus.
I think one of the things I would caution people to do is to educate themselves on the politicians that they do vote into office, right? I think that you're right. Maybe it's a bad idea for us to say we're voting as registered Democrats or registered Republicans, but to really look into these candidates and like find out exactly what they're about, exactly what they've done in their past. Like when I was listening to the confirmation hearings of Jeff Sessions, when he was being sworn in, I was thinking to myself, how did all this get through? How did he get through all of this? You know what I mean? All the different things that he was accused of doing, even from his past. I mean, just being, even that senator who had gotten in trouble for following 14-year-olds in the mall, you know what I mean? Like, or wanting to be senator. It's crazy that we don't do enough digging, right? And we have to do that. And so, yeah, you do take off the party hat and you start looking at the candidates, because the truth of the matter is you do need to vote if you want to see a change in what the structure's like right now. Because if we don't get out and vote change.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the plane's going down. Like pull the latch. You know, when you hear those things, like you go on a plane all the time, it's like, oh, this will never actually happen. Let me, I got my seatbelt on. I got, whatever. But like, no, it's going down. Yeah. Like this is bad, people. I don't know if you've been kind of floating and this is kind of like, I'll see what happens. This is red alert. This is bad. I don't think everybody sees how spiritually bad this is. And I understand, we've had a lot of people come and say, at least we know. But people are being gassed up to be more hateful.
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
And I don't think that's good. This is not just now I'm I put my hood back on. This is people that may have had like a slight lean into that are being encouraged to do it.
Yes.
And being pulled further away from God to me.
Yeah.
So okay, God could use that. I believe that, but I don't think Christians should just stand by and be like, well.
Question, real quick.
So,
real quick question.
True.
So, if he gets reelected, is it going to be doomsday, race war?
I'm not a politician. I don't know what socioeconomic result. I'm talking spiritually. I'm seeing evil in people's eyes. That's all I care
Christians?
about. Christians. Everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing things that are human overcome things that are spiritual. My skin color, my age, my gender, my this and that are becoming so important to people now that it's removing the. Why are we even here? We're not here to be black or white or old or young or male or female. We're here to be Christians and save people's souls. That's the only agenda that we should have. But it's being shortcutted because now I have to be like, yo, you cannot treat me differently because I'm black. We got to pause this situation. I know we're supposed to be bringing people to Jesus, but brother in Christ, you cannot treat me like that. That's just not okay.
Because they're gonna say then what you're saying is if you're saying your skin don't matter, then why does that matter to you? That question comes up all the time.
Because if your brother has you have an issue with your brother, you're supposed to go to your brother, right? Then you're supposed to bring it before the church. Now we bring it before the church. This is a church problem now. Yeah. This ain't just a like one you and I gotta talk to you. We gotta talk to everybody now. This is a problem. Yeah. So we just gotta fix this. This is bad.
So I shared a story on Facebook this week about how one of my neighbors racially profiled me, right? Driving in the subdivision, and I'm driving in, he's driving out, he busts the U-turn, follows me to my driveway, and then questions me about why I'm there. And I tell him I'm the homeowner, and then he makes a smart remark and rolls up his window and just kind of pulls off. But, as I was driving out of my neighborhood one day, I noticed the same car that followed me, right? I identified it to a T, the color, the make and model, even the tag on the front of it. And as I was driving past his house yesterday, I noticed that he had a bunch of crosses on his front door, right? And so now the conversation becomes, as my brother in Christ, right, what was that really about, right? Were you policing the neighborhood because you felt like it was your duty to do that, and if anybody's going to stop crime in my neighborhood, it's going to be me? Or did you really have an intent to see my skin color and pull me to the side and make sure that I was in the right place, right? And so it's scary because we're at a point right now. I had a coworker tell me yesterday, I do not watch the NFL anymore because it's just a form of new slavery to me. And I was thinking about that, and I was just like, I can see where he's coming from, but I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because these are not just black athletes that are on these teams, right? They're not just black athletes. They're the highlighted black athletes because they're the ones that get the scrutiny about kneeling. They're the ones that get the scrutiny about the violence, domestic violence of their significant others. But it also, they're getting checks that are changing lives, that are changing their neighborhoods, that are changing where they came from. And so you have to look at it like, well, slavery was, you weren't given a choice, right? But these guys are given a choice to go out there and move that football, move that basketball. And so it's not really the same thing. And I mean, you get a payday like somebody like Julio Jones, who gets, someone reported like $987,000 every week after the game, right? That's a payday. That's a huge payday.
Facts.
And so you can't necessarily look at it and say that we're in modern day slavery times. We are still looked at as though this is what we're good at, or this is the only thing that they want to see us do. Because I'm a University of Alabama fan, and so is the guy who followed me, right? And I think about it, and I think I'm not good enough to live in your neighborhood, but those ball players who are winning national championships for your team, you're fine with them most likely, right? So it becomes that double standard, and I think when we as Christians have to have that conversation about, this is what you did, this is how you offended me, how does that end, right? How does that end?
But this is where I think the problem lies. Everybody is biased. Yeah. And when I can see your bias, I stop listening. Yeah. So when we talk, even as black people, you have to really, really remove all bias. as a Christian, as a black person, as a male, as a whatever, you have to really understand the bias you have and realize that person doesn't feel the same way you do.
Yeah.
And if we can't look past our own bias and our own history and our own upbringing, our own culture, to be able to have a civil conversation with somebody and try to come to some sort of understanding, so I can understand why you feel this way, you understand why I feel this way, without fighting and without running to our corner and rousing people up to fight the other side. Like, I just see way too much of that, and from the church, that's not right.
And it's both sides. It's not just on the white side too, it's black side too. You got people robbing up black people to like, yo, if you see them,
that's
whatever,
why I'm afraid of anybody who grabs onto an association outside of the kingdom. Democrat, Republican, fraternity, whatever. Just be careful about those things, because if you are basically saying I'm siding with this no matter what, you're in danger to me. Because if that no matter what turns into what we have now, you still siding with it just because it's the same, it's a Republican Party or whatever, you're in danger to me. Every single decision, every single candidate, every single moment in time, you should be free to decide who better fits the kingdom's agenda, not just being like, I'm a Republican, I'm gonna vote Republican. I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna vote Democrat. Because they use that against you. If you're black, they use that against you. If you're a Christian, they use that against you. They know they got you by the joints. You know what I'm saying? And they just say the right thing to get you to keep voting for them. And Christians should not be bound like that to anything. I'm tired of that. So back to this flag issue. There is a problem with black people and police. That is, to me, beyond obvious. Now, there are people in the military who don't think it's a problem that he kneels, suggested that he kneel. And then there's people who are deeply offended by that. How do we resolve that? That's the kind of conversation we should be having. Not you're evil, I'm evil, blah, blah, blah. It should be, okay, there's a genuine issue. Stop listening to Fox News. Stop listening to MSNBC. Stop listening to CNN. Let's get together and talk about this. Why does it hurt you so bad? Why doesn't it bother you that I am so offended by my brothers and sisters dying in the street? Why doesn't that bother you? We got to figure that stuff out, because that's the core problem. These agendas by these people, like, this is what bothers me. There's congressmen and there's people on TV who are using your anger to keep their job. These people do not care about what you care about. They care about their job. And they know if they keep you mad, they will be able to stay in their job. I'm tired of that. Make up your own mind about this stuff. Reach out to people. Find out why they care about what they care about. And we should be able, as Christians, everybody else do whatever you want, but as Christians, we should be able to come, as brothers and sisters, come to some sort of love and peace between each other. It's not that hard.
Do you think the commercial helped or it made it worse?
I think it of course, I agree with him. So to me, it's like, boom, good job. For the people who don't, it's going to make it worse. It's going to pull them to their side.
So man burned his own feet because
So somebody burned himself in his shorts.
Yeah.
While he was
All
wearing
them
them.
Nikes is getting burnt right now. That's crazy.
So I mean, to me, them doing the commercial, what was interesting, Stephen A. Smith's reaction was weird. When he first heard about it, he was like, he felt Nike was taking advantage of the situation, which is possible.
Well, but if they say he's been with Nike for a long period
he's
of
already,
time.
but his contract was ending, and they re-upped it for this. So people think they may be taking advantage.
But Nike has always been behind the athlete, though. With Kobe, with the whole Charles Barkley thing, when I'm not a role model, like all these situations.
But again, it's for money. It's not I don't know how virtuous Nike is. Take that out of it. But to me, this issue, both sides should care about both things. We both should care about the country because we live here. We both should care about black people getting killed in the street because we live here and we love each other. There should be no argument beyond that.
You said something earlier about Christians. How can we do something with what should black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, what should we do as Christians to come together to fight this situation? Because the influence is there. Like I said, I can't speak for white Christians as much because I'm just seeing what the response is based off of what you're seeing on television and everything. But from black Christians that I know, that I went to church with, Facebook pages are just solely blank Trump, this, like, and I'm like, and people are feeding them into that. So my question is, like, what should we do as Christians, different races of Christians? What should we do? What do you think we should do to help?
I think this show was designed to not be a sermon every week.
Yeah.
It was designed not to push an agenda. The only agenda we have is that Jesus Christ is Lord. That's it, right? But we have people in here all the time that disagree about everything, right? And I think people will be surprised that the Trackstarz actual team has a bunch of different viewpoints on this topic.
Yeah.
Has a bunch of different viewpoints on politics. We have Republicans, Democrats, we have white people, black people, Asians. We have everything. And when we come together, it could get heated. It could get people could get angry and get in their feelings, but we come back together as a family and we could talk. And if somebody offends somebody, they can go to them and say, "Hey man, that really hurt my feelings."
Yeah.
We talk. We get together. The goal is unity. It's not to win.
And we strip back down to the foundation that brought us together, which is Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. And so it talks about it. I don't say we talk about it, but I have talked about this before with people on our team that I've disagreed with, and it's just going back to like where Scripture talks about the unity of the brother and sister, and so the fact that we don't know the makeup of heaven. We know what God tells us the makeup is supposed to look like, right? And so we know that to be an exact truth, but we can't close our eyes and see that. We can see it on Sundays when we go to church and we fellowship and in different places, but it's not around us when we open our eyes up and go to work and go to places every day. So that foundation has to be there.
Yeah.
Getting back to the foundation. And I wonder how that would go with my neighbor who I was offended by, and I saw that he had a cross on his front door, and if we were to have a conversation like, is he going to tell me that the Holy Spirit told him to turn around and check this out, check the situation out?
It's possible.
It's very possible. And then, where do we go from there, right? Because obviously I can say, well, that's a dot, and you didn't necessarily pinpoint and get correct, because that's not who I am. And so I think you have to get back to the point where conversation is key. And Atlanta did something, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the one race.
Yeah, I was
And
there.
the one race was really dope. A lot of pastors. Scott Free was there.
Yeah.
Pastor Wesley from Tri-Cities and East Point was there. And they were all about unity of race for the specific purpose that the foundation of all of us is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it has to start. If we strip everything back down and we go back to word and we just go back to the commandments, that's where we get this thing right. And people start to understand like, oh, okay.
And realize one thing real quick. Realize that, like you said, television is programmed. So these stations are programming. Don't let these ideologies that you watch, even if you are conservative black, like realize that this stuff is I had to stop watching, honestly, and I'll be real, I had to stop watching church television because I was watching church television and I'm like, dude, y'all can't say this man is like, and I'm not saying perfect, but I'm just saying like you can't say the stuff that you're doing is honoring God. Like I had to stop following certain pastors because it was like, dude, that's not, y'all playing at this point. Y'all know that this is not what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this, just realize ideologies coming from people who saying they're Christians. You got somebody said it on the YouTube link. Like you got to touch that fruit. Like if somebody's saying that they're a Christian and all like this and saying all this stuff, just look at their lives and look at that what they're putting out. That's even more besides their life. Just look what they're putting out. Are they putting out stuff that's dividing other believers? Are they putting stuff out that's putting us together? You know what I mean? Or are they putting out stuff because they're angry? And if they're willing to have that conversation, be the bridge and have that conversation. If they're not willing to have the conversation, then you know what they're about. But if they're willing to have that conversation, especially with another Christian. Have that conversation. Don't run away from the conversation because you're angry because somebody else got killed and another black person got killed, or somebody marching, or you know what I mean. Have that, be civil and say, you know what, let me hear you out. Why do you think that Kaepernick is going against the flag? Let me hear you, and then I'll talk to you, and then we have somebody there to be like, okay, listen, I understand what you're coming from. If you feel like that is doing, but we've had other vets that says XYZ. Like, you know what I mean? Just have that conversation. Don't be afraid to have a conversation, especially believers. And like you said, the world, their programs, whatever, that's them. But believers, if you believe Jesus died for your sins, y'all need to have that conversation.
And people always wonder why, for years, if you know me, I've fought to always be unbiased. People attack us and like, hey, let it go. It's all good, blah, blah, blah. You always have to fight as a Christian to be unbiased, because the thing that haunts me in the Bible is when Jesus prayed, his last big prayer, right? Yeah. He's in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he begging God, let them be one like me and you are one. Yeah. He's like, they're going to be. I don't remember the full thing, but the thing that stood out to most of me was let them be one the way you and I are one. That's how the world will know that we're real. And we have failed his prayer. Like, we always ask God, please answer my prayer. Please answer my prayer. And we are not answering Jesus' prayer. He was talking to God the Father, but we are responsible for our unity amongst the body. And we are constantly saying, well, screw you, Jesus. I ain't going to be united with that person over there. You know what I'm saying? And this just seems wrong to me. It seems really wrong that we just won't even try to empathize with people. We won't even try. And it's just and that's why I said Trump to me is an enemy of the cross, and people may think that's being biased, but just watching this man, to me, he is spreading the body out. It's not bringing it closer. He is causing it to go apart. And to me, that's an enemy of what Jesus prayed in the garden. Please, to me, he's doing the opposite. So that's why I feel that way. So anyway, hopefully, again, the reason we're here. We try to have a different makeup of people all the time. Anybody's welcome to come and talk. But we're here to, as Christians, as brothers, contest on these issues, but to come together at the end. So I just want to hear you out, make sure it all makes sense. But at the end of the day, I want you to be closer, not further away. All right? All right, so.
Real quick before you shut it down, I just want to thank everybody in the universe. Trackstarz Universe, that reached out to me to check on me, to see if I was okay, to see if my family was okay. That day was really difficult for me because I didn't process that incident happening to me. I processed it as it was happening to my girls. And as a father of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old, and they're all girls, I want to be able to defend them, right? But I don't want to have to do it with a gun, and I don't want to have to do it with my fist. I really want them to be educated and be aware of their surroundings, but I really want people to be fair to them and not hate them for the color of their skin, because they don't control that. So that really, really bothered me for them, because they're going to be in this world, and they don't know that world exists right now. They don't know. They know 3 things. They know mommy, daddy, and Jesus. They love us. That's all they know. And so for them to go out there and start getting treated unfairly because of the color of their skin, and they hadn't done anything to anybody, that hurts me deeply. And I know there are a lot of parents that side with me on that, because my Facebook page is blown up this week. But just thank you for that. Thank you for checking in on me, and thank you for the prayer support that you offered all across the board. I mean, it was just amazing, the outpouring of love. So I appreciate that.
And please, when somebody says they're in pain, please listen. Don't assume there's an agenda behind it. Don't assume there's brainwashing behind it. Like, people are being honest on both sides of all of these issues. They're hopefully they're being honest. And we just really need to get to the honesty part of all of this. There's real pain. And if you don't want to listen to somebody else's pain, you don't care that people are hurt by black kids dying in the street. You don't care that people may be offended because their child died in the war. I mean, you have no idea. They may be hurt by that, like deeply, not just because they're Republican or white or whatever. They may just be deeply hurt that you would do that, and they attach their son to that flag. You know what I mean? We got to be able to hear that. Like that's not insignificant, right?
And then still have that mentality of good and bad, where it's like that person did this, so they were a bad guy. And I've heard that theology too. So whether people are right about how they feel or not, we still need, as Christians, to be able to hear it and absorb it. And if you can't do that, you need to sit out of the conversation. All right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let go.
Hey guys, Miracle here. Thank you so much for watching that episode. Make sure you go below, like it, subscribe, click the bell, and make sure you follow us on all forms of our social media. Also, check out our website and be sure you spread the word. We'll see you next time.
We know not what we doing. Screw that, they know, let them have it, do it. Okay, I'm erratic, prove it. Never mind, got a mind that'll wind up with me in a lineup behind bars with these bars. Okay, my time's up.
Team Freedom. Yeah. We not through yet. All right. Trackstarz Music presents.
Turn my volume up. Turn me off.